The New Thought philosophical movement, which took root in the U.S. in the 19th century, championed infinite intelligence. Its unofficial roster of writer-philosophers includes names that have inspired today's self-help and spiritual teachers, like Napoleon Hill, author of the famous Think and Grow Rich. Also among them was Neville Goddard. Sometimes known by the authoritative single moniker Neville, he was a pioneering teacher who emerged from this influence. Born in 1905 in Barbados, the British New Thought leader is perhaps not a household name like Deepak Chopra. But he has long been the teacher's teacher, a relatively uncelebrated hero in the proverbial quest to tame the mind and follow the spirit. He studied drama in New York and toured as a dancer in the 1920s, and at the time fed his growing interest in metaphysics, in particular the power of the human mind. Goddard threw himself fully into this study of spirituality, and his first act of testing his mental mettle came when he was, much to his displeasure, drafted by the U.S. Army in 1943, and through sheer force of thought and will, visualizing himself out of the Army, was honorably discharged. Goddard furthered his mystical studies after he met an Ethiopian rabbi who taught him Hebrew and the study of Kabbalah along with the Hermetic principles of Bible scripture. Goddard went on to give lectures himself, often quoting scripture. He traveled the nation, ultimately landing in LA, where he made his home in the 1950s. Lectures at the Wilshire Abel Theater were not uncommon for Goddard, who was gaining a robust following in Southern California. He continued lecturing throughout the 1960s and 1970s.
A man's mental conversations attracts his like. As long as there is no change in his inner talking, the personal history of the man remains the same. To attempt to change the world before we change our inner talking is the struggle against the very nature of things. Man can go round and round in the same circle of disappointments and misfortunes, not seeing them as caused by his own negative inner talking, but as caused by others. This may seem far-fetched, but it is a matter which lends itself to research and experiment.
In 1961, Goddard's book, The Law and the Promise, chronicled the success of his meditation.
But it is a matter which lends itself to research and experiment.
In 1961, Goddard's book, The Law and the Promise, chronicled the success of his metaphysical techniques through individuals' stories, not unlike what Napoleon Hill had done in Think and Grow Rich. In his last years, his lectures focused increasingly on the idea of a sort of liberation from death and reincarnation, not unlike the Hindu concept of moksha. He called it the promise. Goddard died at the age of 67 on October 1st, 1972 in Los Angeles. He left behind 10 invaluable books.